Believe me, if there's one thing I really don't enjoy doing, then it's making a negative review. But if I get a phone like the Sony Xperia E5, I actually get sad and I wonder, ask myself, is Sony actually even trying? Because on paper this could have been a really nice lower and mid-range phone. And it has a lot of nice, really solid qualities. But then they completely mess up on one crucial one and a little bit on another one. Which one those are, we will see throughout the review, and I will make it a little bit quicker because all the good qualities sadly get diminished by one. Okay, design and build quality, nothing really wrong here. It feels really nice in the hand. The plastic has a really nice texture to it because it's very smooth but still grippy and just feels really nice to the touch. Also nice curves here, really smooth, and it feels amazing. One-hand durability is actually really great and it feels definitely way more nicer than it should be for this price. Here we have the LED, the camera, microphone, headphone jack. Underneath you have the SD card and SIM card tray. Speaker, micro USB. The volume rocker is a little bit high, but it works quite nice. It has a nice click to it. The power button is a little bit too high, but still also works quite okay, so no problem here. Multicolor LED is here. The bezels are and that bad, so all is fine. And I really like the design and build quality. Nothing has been done wrong here. We have the slightly raised edge as on the Z5 series last year, but it's not as sharp and it's quite okay. Now let's get into the display, which is also not bad. Actually quite nice because it is in 720p. Okay, these days, even for this price range, you already get 1080p displays, but this one still delivers nice enough if you don't expect too much, because the colors are absolutely fine. The white point is really well set and you can set it in the white balance. The black is okay. There is a lot of IPS glow, but in normal use you won't really bother unless you use your phone in super dark environments all the time. And the color saturation, as you can see here, is absolutely fine. There is no need to complain. Viewing angles maybe not super stable, and the maximum brightness was a bit weak in terms of outdoor visibility. But in overall, the phone still delivers a nice experience. Colors, at least if you use a Samsung phone for a longer period of time, felt a little bit washed out, but they are actually quite nice. So that's actually definitely not the weakness here. Let's check the sound here. Yeah, this makes me a little bit sad as well, because the speakers on Sony phones in general have a nice sound to it, but they are just too weak. I would wish for a dedicated amp, because this one in so many situations in just normal use was not good enough in terms of maximum volume. The headphone jack actually was quite good, actually surprisingly better than on some other Sony phones, so it could push my ADH M50s quite fine, so that's okay. The performance here, 1.5 gigabytes of RAM and MediaTek SoC. No apps preloaded, so you will see them as they load here. And the loading times maybe aren't super fast, but the device actually is very snappy, because as you can see here, the scrolling, and there was an ad, the scrolling is actually super nice, as you can see here. So the browsing performance is fine, and as you can see, apps, as you can see, this was a launch, this was a launch, this is another launch. So the app launch times are absolutely fine, there's no complaint here. But because the device, as you can see here, actually switches through apps quite quickly. So it's a very responsive and fast device. That is something that I definitely like to appreciate, or I know to appreciate. Scrolling was fine, not a lot lag, especially for this price range. I won't complain here. Here all has been done really nicely. The 1.5 gigabytes of RAM actually do a better job than I expected, because I could have run 5 or 6 apps without any problem, sometimes even more. Of course, the heavier you use the apps, the worse it will get, but the actual experience in terms of performance is fine. Gaming performance, not so much. I won't really show this off. It was a little bit on the weaker side. The MediaTek SoC just doesn't have the best GPU. It's okay for casual gaming, but not for heavy gaming, but that's okay. Now, the battery life is something that I will skip and go to the camera first. Selfies, quite okay, but I also won't really show it off, because the overall experience was weak. Autofocus quite slow, shutter times really slow, and there is this super long, annoying, as you can see here, processing. Okay, the app definitely needs a little bit longer to launch, but just look at this. I make the picture, and this processing is so slow and so annoying, and you can't really move the camera all that much, because half of my pictures are completely blurry because I moved the camera too early. So the outcome, if with a steady hand, is solid, okay, but overall in terms of the experience, it's definitely below the average of this price range. Now let's get to the battery, and that is a total disaster, and I absolutely don't get it. While the charging time was still absolutely fine with about 2 hours and 40, of course the battery isn't the biggest one, but that's still acceptable. It's the battery life that is horrible, because I said it, 2 hours and 40 to charge the device. And I could drain this device actually even earlier or quicker, because my best result for the whole week was 2 hours and 50 of screen on time over the course of like 13 hours. That is terrible. And I even yesterday just got 2 hours and 25 over the course of 13 hours, and also once just 2 hours and 30. I never even reached 3 hours on Wi-Fi only. That could be possible. But at this day and time, or in this age, a phone with a battery life below 3 hours, if with just normal use in mixed use, is not acceptable. And I don't get it, because if the phone doesn't even last as long as you charge it, then I think something is seriously wrong. This phone, and let's just get to the conclusion here, could have been quite nice, because the design is totally fine, the display is still good. Okay, for this price range you already get better phones in terms of these qualities. The speaker is also quite weak, the performance would have been totally fine, no complaints here at all, and the camera, if you have a steady hand and if you just don't need it that much, it would have been still fine. But the battery life, sorry, it's a disaster. I don't get how a company like Sony, who was known for example, my Sony Xperia Z5, Z3 that I had for 1.5 years, had one of the best battery lives ever I've used on any phones. And this one is, to date, the worst battery life that I've ever experienced. I don't get it at all. Sony, please, wake up. Such a phone should have never made it to the market. Because, yes, it's nice if you have a lot of good, solid qualities, but you can't mess up one that badly, because you can't expect people to run with a power bank all the day. And believe me, 2.5 hours is not even a good battery life for the average user. If you really are okay with just 1.5, maybe 2 hours of use a day, okay, yeah, but then there's still the price. Here priced at around 199 euros. It's just too expensive. You get already phones like the Honor 5C with a lot overall better specs and a better experience. And there are a lot of different phones like Chinese manufacturers like Xiaomi and so on. But I will keep here this to the mainstream available ones. And then there are just better options. There are phones out for a year and longer, like the Huawei P8 Lite, that still deliver a better experience. The experience itself isn't wrong. But for the price, with this battery life and the mediocre camera experience, Sony, please wake up, get to your old strengths back. Hire someone who knows a thing or two about camera post-processing, and you could get back, but not with a phone like this. I really think you didn't really want to succeed with this phone. Sorry, I didn't want to sound like someone who hates Sony, because I definitely want them to succeed. The more the merrier. The more competition, the better is for the market. But this is not the way to go, and I'm really disappointed in Sony and sad to see that a company that was once so known for great phones is going in that direction, especially sacrificing battery life, which was always one of their highest points. Not much else to add. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully see more positive reviews from Sony. For example, maybe the Xperia X8 that I have as well. Until next time, bye.